recording is up, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about. Okay, very minor, but maybe we can just be tossing in a Sonic for like just right off the bat for visibility for our teammates, so they can all see, like, primarily just for like scouting purposes, so everybody knows what they're on as soon as possible. So that's just a very simple thing just we could be doing right there. Gives everyone on our team more information to work with. Okay, nice Sonic. Okay. Pretty solid cross replacement so far. Very nice. Alright, smooth first point. We played it slow. Okay. So far very solid usage, good usage of cover there. Noticing once in a while here whenever using your storm arrows, sometimes we're firing them off. I'd say every time you have used them, you fire them all off within like a second and a half or so. If there's nothing there initially to go off of, don't feel like you need to rush it. You do have the option to hold it for another couple of seconds. So here, if you're trying to like hit the Ana, and Ana's just like not there, there's no need to just kind of spam it. Because here I think we're trying to hit the Ana as she turns the corner, but maybe you can just be a little bit more patient with some of these shots, and that way you're not burning through Storm Arrow after half a second every time. Okay. Okay. So we used Dragon, and it was in a very good position. One thing I'd say is that before your Dragon, if you have it as an option, usually it's a really good idea to Sonic beforehand. So right here, you do have Sonic available. So it'd be very easy to just throw into that wall right there, right? That way you can visually see where your Dragon is going, and you are going to have a lot more information to work off of than just your ears. That being said, this was in a good position anyways. The issue was that they were so far away from you that they had time to just speed out of it. So I think they used Shout and then Lucio's speed, just kind of got them out of it. So we got one of them with the combo visor, but then they were able to just kind of run away from it. So it was a good Dragon to kind of split them up. But maybe it could have been more if we had used it a little bit sooner, if we had been a little bit closer. And once again, that a lot of that comes down to like just awareness of knowing where they're at. So some of that could come down to having Sonic up and seeing that they're not there. Overall, I think it was still a good one because we were able to get them all split up. We got the follow-up kill on there. Once again, because we don't have that Sonic up, we don't see where the Junker Queen went around the corner. So that was a little bit of awareness once again here, because we do end up dying, and a lot of that's, I think, just because we don't know that the Jungle Queen's there. And then they end up actually swinging that fight back around. So, yeah, Sonic for visibility, ears and eyes open, try to keep awareness up. It was a pretty solid dragon. Could have been a little bit better if it had been used sooner before they had all had time to back up. Because once they were all the way over here, then they were able to run out of it very, very easily. Whereas if we dragoned it while they're all grouped up here, then we cut off their escape. They can't run away as we're visoring. They are probably going to have the tendency to back up into it anyways. So just like a little bit of timing as well on it.
You caught?
Our wrath grows. Locked by the dragon.
Very nice.
Escape. I'll find them. Flames of purgatory engulf me.
Is that it?
The Dead Sea open. Scanning.
So like here once again, notice how like with our storm arrow usage, we land the first headshot, very good, but then we're spamming the other half out even after we see that she's ice blocked. So just saving an extra 2 or 3 there just finishes her off right here when she is out of ice block. Or we even just simply just spam it into the enemy team too instead of a wall. Okay, nice.
The Dead Sea open.
Because we're in between fights right now, we could pretty easily just be using this time just to spam fire just down these corridors. Very easy shots. You know, we're out of range where because you're Hanzo, you're probably just going to be able to outrange anything here. Ash probably isn't going to be able to contest you too easily with her range. You have cover usage that you can use as she's approaching, so it's probably not too dangerous to peek here with what they have. They don't really have very much that can like one tap you very easily, and that would just give you the ability to potentially one tap something. Which if you get the tap, like if you kill somebody here, right, then that has the potential just to stop them from touching entirely. Just because they don't want to try to contest while they're down people. This means that you have more ults rolling into the next fight. It means that you don't have the chance to allow them to recontest and get the touch. So overall here, I just go poking for a potential kill. Yeah, which they don't touch anyways, so it's not the biggest deal. But when we're working at this rank of GM3 and 2 and stuff like that, you're dealing with a lot of efficiency and consistency things, right? You're not at plat, so you're not going to be doing dumb things all the time where you're running in and dying 24/7 and going and making dumb, you know, you're not holding onto your ultimate and you're going and falling off the map and things like that, right? You're not going to have really big oopsies all the time, but you are going to have a lot of little tiny consistency things of doing the best thing, so getting better and better and better and more efficient, and getting more consistent. And that's like one of those efficiency things is in between fights, don't just kind of sit around, use every second possible. Go push forwards, do some poking. that in situations where you don't have your ult, that gets you ult charge, as well as potential for a pick, which can lead to just snowballing if you get staggers in. They're not going to want to contest your team while they're down a person, which will mean that you're going to be able to take more card space. All that making sense so far?
Yeah.
Vengeance, find you.
Good Sonic. Okay. Think crosshair placement is like a tad bit low here, because we're aiming like at head level, so that might be hitting body shots. But that's not a massive deal. I just got to keep an eye on it to see if that's a consistent thing or not. Okay, good job using cover and getting out there. Very nice. Good Sonic. Okay, looking for the dragon. Okay. Once again, dragon's being used blind. So you do have your ears available, right? And first let's see how this dragon does. We kind of like get a little bit of damage on the Junker Queen, but doesn't really seem to do too much. We don't get any kills out of it. It kind of cuts him off for a second, but really I'd say is probably not the best value possible out of your ult. I'd say probably a decent bit of that is just because of how blind the dragon is, and that's kind of what we did last time too, where we're using it, and you do see them all here, and you see the Reaper right there, and you see he's fading, but you just can't but then seconds go by and you don't have Sonic up and we're firing it through the wall, so you just can't really see anything to go off of here, which just ends up meaning that like there's only Reaper that we're firing it at, and Reaper's able to just kind of like he gets booped back out of it. So really what I'm saying here with your dragon is, if you're going to do it from behind the wall, which is really good, you should be doing it behind walls, because if you're doing it behind walls, then they can't shoot you. It comes from a surprise angle that they're not expecting. But if you're going to do that, you either A, need to have a Sonic available so you can see where they're at, which is probably the best option for you. B, have just like a half a second ago saw where they all were, right? Which isn't really the case here. You saw where they were like 2-3 seconds ago, which means that they could be like all over the place right now, or be able to see like hear them like right next to you, right, and then like and have the audio awareness of it. But that's also not really the case, because half of them like are probably out of earshot right now. So that's why Dragon kind of goes off a little bit here and doesn't really do as much as it could. So more visibility and awareness so that you have information for where your dragon's going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I should like. Would it be a good idea to just like throw a sonar at like just hit like a sonar that I've been hitting and then go behind the wall?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. Throw the sonar first, then go behind the wall and do it second. You could have like potentially because this is difficult, because like maybe now the other thing as well, besides not having your team, is that maybe this is even the best dragon, because like if we did see where they were, it's not the best dragon because of the fact that they're all spread out. It's like our teams are also pretty far from each other, so if we get some damage in, we're going to be pretty split up. Like we might not be able to capitalize on it fast enough, because of where our team's at. So yeah, so firstly visibility, secondly like even if you see here, it might not even be the best timing to be using dragon. You might want to let the fight develop a hair more, if we hadn't used it earlier. But you could potentially do something like where you peek up and then drop down, half a second later. The big thing is just have some form of visibility, so that you can see and know. And then if you did have visibility here, then you might want to wait, a little bit longer, or have used it before when they were all up here. And when they're all up here, then that might have been, a hair better, potentially, when they're like all pushed up. If we use a dragon right now, like throw it right behind them, like on cart here potentially, then that can cut them off, and stop them from backing up and getting away from our Nano Hog, as an idea.
Mhm.
Use it kind of as zoning there, where they don't have the option to run away. But it is kind of chaotic at the moment, so it's not a big deal. Very nice.
Tactical visor.
Nice shots. Oh, almost. Good reposition, good Sonic. Okay, perfect. That's where you should be. Very nice. Okay. Very good. Very, very minor, so that we just don't like toss the Sonic out. So if we didn't land that shot, it would have been good to just have the Sonic in there, so you can be lining up the next one. And then that also helps you line up your shots on Ana better as well if you were doing it from around the corner at all. There you go. Okay. Good shots all around. That was overall very smooth attack.
Ready for battle. Ready. 1. Attack. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Once again, utilization of Sonic, of just toss it right above the doorway here. Right as they're coming out of spawn. Information for your whole team. Okay, because team comp dictates playstyle, right? You and your teammates will all be playing differently depending on what they're running. Imagine they're on a Widowmaker here. Probably don't want to be like standing on the open, right? And tossing Sonic above their heads like 5 seconds before doors open. They're probably all going to be crowded right around that doorway. If you toss it right above their heads, that I think that also gets like a little bit of the high ground too. So if there's anybody up on high ground, you see, there's a Widow peeking. And then information on what they're running as quickly as possible means that your whole team has extra time to plan out for what they're doing. You can, because like I said before, team comp dictates play style. If they're on a Mei and a Zarya, you're gonna be playing differently than if they're on like Monkey and a whatever Reaper. You're gonna be playing differently and approaching it differently. So having that information sooner helps your whole team prepare, yourself included.
4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Scanning.
And then, all right. Alright, so, firstly, minor thing could be like, once again, efficiency-wise, if they don't have like a Widowmaker or anything that can hit you, from this range, you could be somewhere like on these high grounds where you could be getting some extra spam in, just like, spamming their spawn doors when they open up, spamming here. Once again, this is GM2, so every little bit matters. If you're getting your ult 10% sooner than other people, 10% better is going to be significant at this rank. So you ult sooner, you get a pick early on. That's going to lead to value, right? Because if you get the pick, that stops them from advancing. It's just going to be good all around. So a little bit of extra time spamming right off the bat. Next, they come in, they wall off. You don't really have good visibility here. The thing is that I would just be really careful because of the fact that they have the Lucio to speed onto you. We kind of just have to be ready to back away at a moment's notice. And when we do back up, it's not really, it doesn't feel like well thought out, like where you're going, right? We kind of just like run back to point, and then at that point, like, you're down your Roadhog. But if you're able to get up to high ground, well, then you could still potentially just poke them out, get a pick or two, and then push back in. They're already down one. They lost their Sojourn on the push in, so losing Roadhog isn't an insta loss here. But once you lose Roadhog and Hanzo, that's not looking too hot, right?
Yeah.
So getting out here is very important. We kind of overstay our welcome. We don't back up till they're like right there. When you leap backwards, probably be a good idea to like leap this way and just like climb up to high ground. Or if we're leaping this way, yeah, I'd probably just get to high ground as soon as possible. It's a delayed backup. Yeah, I don't think I need to go any further on that.
You can't hide. You can't hide.
Okay. Very, minor, but once again, a little bit of efficiency stuff. Just raise the crosshair like half an inch, or not half an inch, like 1 centimeter, right, up, because sometimes we're keeping a crosshair placement and it's just like like we're at head level, but you're on Hanzo, so there's that little bit of arrow drop, right, where the further you're away from somebody, it's gonna have a little bit of drop, so you have to aim a little bit above their head. Here we're like aiming at May's head, so we just hit the body shot on her instead of getting the one tap. So minor, like we're aiming like right at her head or like a hair above her head, and then we get the body shot. So she's dead there if we just aim a tad bit higher. So just got to keep an eye on that as well.
Enemy right.
Small little things like that. Very nice to get the pick. So even like right here, let's see. Now this range might not need to be as high, but I think we're like right at like her body or her neck. There we're at head level, so I think that probably goes head. I think it's hard to tell. I think that's like.
Ooh. It could be a body shot there, yeah.
Yeah, could be body, right? So just a tad bit low in some of these scenarios. So just gotta watch that. Okay, good angle, good positioning. Okay, Roadhog keeps getting picked. All right.
You can't hide.
And good job keeping your distance. Okay, so this time we Sonic. Good. We're going for the ult. Okay, we Sonic. We leap. We're tossing it behind them. Do they back up into it? Nice, we get it right on top of Lucio. I think Lucio dies. Oh, he speeds out of it. Okay. Oh.
Could have angled it more to the left, maybe. So
Yeah.
I got them beyond that corner.
Angling it more to the left, or potentially even just letting them walk in further and just getting a straight down angle as well here could be really good, because if they're like if we let them push in, right, if like you could even communicate to your teammates like let them push or something like that, and you get an angle where you just launch it straight down the middle, or like you said, a little bit more to the left, then you can, like, they basically have nowhere to go because they're in this choke point here. and they'd have to like run all the way out of the choke. So that could be something here is using the choke to your advantage and just firing it, launching it straight down the choke, or like you said, more to the left because that's where they kind of all go is to the left. But even then, I still think they have a little bit of leeway here to kind of get around it. Yeah, I think if you do it to the left, then that definitely cuts off like the Junker Queen. I think you get like at least the Junker Queen, maybe the May, if you're a little bit more to the left. So to the left would be good. Firing it straight down the middle would also be good if you bait them in further. Nice headshot. Might want to wait till after beat to start using Storm Arrow because it's probably not gonna do too much if they have a beat up. Good job getting out of that Bapple. Alright. Oh. Okay, let's see. We're pre-positioning up here. This isn't like too bad of an angle, and I see our whole team's up here. Maybe even it might be even better if we just come over to this side over here, because then we can just get some spam shots in the whole time they're approaching here, which once again, it's just efficiency between the fights. Get in shots while they're approaching. Extra ult charge because we're at 40%. We could probably, by the time the fight starts, we could get that up to like 60. And we're just going to be charging our ultimates quicker, as well as the potential for a nasty headshot from across the map here, and then that just resets them and burns more of their time, and that's just going to get you extra value. And then additionally, as they don't really have much to contest you, right? They have May, but she can't one tap you. Sojourn maybe, but once again, like she's gonna struggle to one tap you if you're just like sitting all the way back here from them. As they're pushing in and getting closer, maybe you can rotate and come back up to higher ground with your team. If you feel like they're gonna cut you off, so you have the option to rotate and get up there. If you want to, like maybe like so you can spam them from a distance from here, and then once they get up to like the corner, then you can start moving, something like that. But just once again, efficiency. Okay. I think we leaped the wrong way to get away from them. Yeah. Where should you have gone?
To the left?
Yeah. Probably, because I think your leap probably would have gotten you around the corner. So we go backwards instead of this way.
Mm-hmm.
Just goes back to the basics of positioning. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Further away we stray from it, worse we're going to be. So getting closer to this left side here, cover, gets you kind of out of Junker Queen, and even if Junker Queen gets to you, it gets you out of line of sight of like May from landing an icicle on you and stuff like that. Uh-oh. Maybe could have tried climbing, but that's really about it at that point.
I am restored. Vengeance will find you.
Okay, good Sonic. Once again, like if she ducks around that corner, maybe pause for half a second and wait on those other 3 arrows. Probably could still be on the high ground potentially there, and not needing to drop. Could give you really good angles to work with. Okay, good job, we Sonic here. Before you Dragon. We get around the corner. Okay. Really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's a good way to just like finish off the fight. Very potentially like could just see where it's going, how the fight's going before we use ult, because I think we were like in pretty good shape. Might not have needed it, but is a good solid way to close out the fight. So it probably goes either way, honestly. Could hold on to it, could not. Probably get value either way. Okay. Good job taking the high ground. Watch those like quarter charge shots. That's a dead Mei if we're fully charging that. Very nice. Oh my goodness. Very nice shots. Okay, let's watch how it goes. Okay, do a little bit of damage. Maybe not the most value. Can you think of anything we could have done here differently with it?
Well, I did it pretty close. Had my leap up. I could have leaped backwards and maybe done it more in the middle to cut them off more, because they did have abilities up to just get out of it.
Yeah. So I firstly agree with, yep, a little too far forwards. So it kind of like, I think Mei was able to just kind of walk through it. So I don't think it doesn't even really get Mei here because she's just already past it. So leaping backwards first, like you said. Additionally, we see them here. Oh, whoopsie, I didn't mean to skip there. Okay, we do see them here. We see that they're all running to the right, so just watching where their momentum is coming. So we kind of put it to the left a little too much, so putting it to the right more. If we jump back and put it to the right here, then that probably gets like Mei and Zarya in it. And they don't really, then they're kind of like stuck between a wall and cart, pretty much. So we can make it very difficult for them if we put this along that right wall. Really, with your ultimates, a lot of the time you want to find geometry where they kind of have no choice but to sit in your ultimate. Whereas a lot of times when we're tossing Dragon in, we're giving them a lot of ways to get out of it. And when you give them ways to get out of it, it's not going to get as much value, especially at GM2 when people know how to get out of Dragons. But if you use it when they're in a choke and they can't get out of it, or if, like we were saying here, let's say Mei's on this right side. Well, if we throw this, like, let's say we throw this right to the left of Mei, right? Well, then she can't, the dragon's big enough where it's going to cover up all that space. She can't go to the right because there's a wall there, so she has to come to the left, and in that time, she's already dead because she took too long, right? Same thing going with the Zarya here. So using walls and cart to your advantage, and choke points and no man's lands, where you can kind of do stuff like that. So stuff them in chokes and use the geometry to your advantage. All different ideas. So that does seem to be like a common thread here, is that dragons could be getting more value than they are. A lot of them just aren't getting very many kills, or even like damage. Other ways you can be using it is for like zoning, but that zoning sometimes is like a bit more niche than just getting the flat up damage in. And zoning a lot of times is going to be really good to like cut off people from their teammates, right? So like stop them from backing up and running away, cut off like a tank from their team, things like that, where you can kind of zone them out. Uh-huh. No.
Tragic.
Okay. Okay. Nice shot. Okay. Now that we had someone... Oof. Okay, a monkey dives in. Okay. I was about to say that if we had other people contesting car, we probably could start to back up, but then monkey dove.
Yeah.
Okay, nice spam shots. Honestly, I think that we could be utilizing high ground a bit more than you do. I know sometimes it does make like hitting shots a bit harder. Like it becomes harder to get that like crosshair placement set up. But you're gonna find value out of sitting up on like a high ground like this, be in the fact that you can get around tanks and shields easier. So it gives you an off angle that you can get to the characters you want to shoot at easier. It's going to sometimes put you a little bit closer to them, because sometimes here we just end up sitting really far back, which isn't always terrible for Hanzo because he doesn't have fall off damage, but you do, since you don't have like a scope or anything like that, you're still gonna have suffer from inaccuracy at ranges where you're gonna have difficulty hitting shots because you're shooting a projectile and people just might on purpose or on accident move out of the way. It's gonna be difficult to land at ranges, and you're working with smaller targets. So positioning on like a high ground like this might mean that you're able to be a little bit closer. Like if they're below you here, you can kind of just like pop up, be on the high ground, be above them. And it's going to get you really good angles to work with, where you can see kind of their team, create a kind of a different angle from your team, because if the rest of your team's shooting down this angle, then shooting from a different angle creates a crossfire effect, where now because you're shooting from a different angle, they have to put resources up to mark a different angle. They have to, instead of pumping all the damage down this one little corridor, they have to now change. Some of them are going to look up to the top left. They're going to not always dedicate the right amount of people to it. So maybe all of them look up at you, and then you just back up, and now you've, drawn all their attention, and that's still good for you. Or if nobody looks at you, then you just get to sit there for free. If they put a shield on you, then that's taking resources away from the front line, and you just have very easy flexibility just to leap back down to this angle if you need to. So I would just say I'd consider taking these high grounds a bit more in these fights. It's also going to allow you to contest anybody from taking top left. Like I think Bap goes top left here. He can very easily just like kind of get around that corner from you, but if you were up on high ground, he has less ability to get away from you here, and you can kind of put pressure on him, stop him from taking good angles. So lots of reasons why high ground's good. High ground gives you survivability, easy cover usage, things like that. That all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because here he just kind of like runs
Even
around that
here,
corner.
I could still go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And then if he's running around that corner from you, you can just finish him off with another shot. Okay. So good. This time we saw where they were like half a second before we dragon. So that once again that gave us visibility. So that's good. Let's see how dragon does here. Ah, good dragon. Yeah, that was a good one. Maybe could do it like a tad bit further back, but like that's overall really good. It cut them all off.
60 seconds.
But angle's never going to be exactly perfect. Okay, good. Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that they put a what's remind
put a
that's it. Yeah, they
shield.
put a shield on you, put a lot of attention on you. That's like a 12-second cooldown, right? 13-second cooldown,
Yeah.
right? Then now he doesn't have as they're approaching. So you put pressure, and then you don't have to. Now that that's there, you don't have to sit here. I'd probably just leap over to the other high ground and just take the other high ground.
Yeah.
Very nice. I mean, if they're gonna go left side, then that works too.
30 seconds.
Very nice.
You can't hide.
Okay, could be retaking high ground potentially here. Okay. Could be Sonic beforehand, but good. This is a good zoning ultimate because you knew that they had to go and touch cart, which gives them a very limited range of motion here. So, only problem is just like we do like go. We could just like wait here and just like watch them or Sonic or something, but we kind of like go really around the corner really early, which just makes it difficult to see stuff and know where they're all at. But it was a really good placement, so I still like it. Good kill. Very nice. Okay, good job going up and contesting her. I like the high ground. Right, because you going, you know, the other thing also with high ground is that high ground isn't just good for you, it's also good for them. So you being on high ground contests them off of high ground. Alright. Cool, cool. Good solid game. We have maybe like 4 more minutes of time like to review before we like get to the ends credit stuff. Do you have another replay that we can go over real quick? Or if not, we can like
Look
run around.
right now. I could do. Nah, not really.
Not really. Okay. Well, we probably don't have time to get into any games, so let's just talk over some stuff really quickly. Did any like questions about anything that we discussed at all?
No, I've kind of mainly I've been like with my own like self-coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to switch up angles more often because I find myself just kind of sticking to one
Yep.
way too long.
Yep. I gotcha.
And switching up to high ground is definitely something I should be doing more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also, for Hanzo, I have found difficulty playing against characters like Junker Queen and Lucio,
Mm-hmm.
just because it throws off everything once everybody's running like 1.5 speed.
Yeah. Yeah, so With that, if that's the case, right, if they're running brawly characters, and we're running more spammy characters, then we're just trying to keep our distance. You got to be careful to just retreat quicker because they can advance quicker. Keep an eye on them and just keep your distance so you're staying at your comfortable mid range from them and you're not getting too close. Take high grounds because Lucio and Junker Queen can't get the high ground instantaneously, right? They're gonna struggle to get to you, so take high grounds. Don't let them close the distance. Keep your distance from them, and it's kind of how you play to play away from them, right?
Okay.
And you're definitely right. Take angle like other angles like high grounds and off angles are gonna be really handy to swap things up, get around shields, get around tanks, things like that. Let's talk really quickly about application. Like, how do you put this stuff that we've talked about into practice? You firstly want to pick something out, like, for example, we talk about ult usage a lot, so you're going to, while you're playing, make sure that you're not just coming in and autopiloting, you're not just playing to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not just purely playing to win, but like you said, your goal was at the beginning, you're playing to improve, because that leads to more wins. What that will look like is that you're going to pick something out, like, for example, ult usage, and you're going to actively focus on it as you're playing, which will look like this when you're playing, is you're going to think to yourself, ult usage, ult usage, ult usage, Sonic, Sonic, put it behind them, use it, with choke points, choke, right? And you're just giving yourself a constant stream of reminders as you're playing to think about your ult usage. And as you're putting all that attention into your ult usage, you're probably going to have better ult usage. And if you do that for a long enough period of time, that forms it as positive habits. Once those form as habits, then you can just move on to something else to work on, and that's the improvement cycle. And final thing would just be, don't try to do everything all at the same time, because we talked about a bunch of things, and if you try to do all of it, it gets overwhelming, and you're not going to be able to do any of it. So just pick one category, or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. That'll make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Let's do the wrap-up review and main points of the session then, which I'll also get to you. Oh, I guess you have the notes, so I'll do a condensed one version of this. But so then let me get into one more topic, the self-improvement process. You've already talked about, like, how you've been coaching yourself and whatnot. I would encourage, as you are coaching yourself, one of the best ways to coach yourself and self-improve is to identify mistakes. This is how I climbed and got better at the game. I started off in silver, and after like a year or so, I got myself into top 500, and I've peaked top 50 multiple times. And doing that came a lot of it was just a lot of self-improvement that comes from identifying mistakes, identifying the issue within the mistake, and then looking for solutions and then applying it. So an easy example would be, and we've even went over this while we were coaching, this kind of the secret sauce of the coaching. Easy example would be like deaths, right? Deaths, obvious mistake, but if I just told you, oh, you died too much, and then left the coaching session, that probably wouldn't be too great, right? So take it a step further, okay? I died. Why did I die? That's the issue within the mistake. Not going to do the whole question and answer thing here. Common reasons why you die are like, why you died, being overextended or not having cover, things like that, right? Lack of awareness, poor positioning. Then you take those and you think through the solution. So if you're too far forwards, pull it back, be more passive. If you're out in the open, use cover more, right? Things like that. And then application, we just talked about application, focus on it, put it into practice. All that makes sense? Any questions?
Yeah. One question, just in general. Like, obviously, you are very, like, high ranked. Do you play, like, Hanzo quite a bit?
Yeah, so I don't know. It's probably not going to show up on I don't know if I've played on Trasher at all. It'd probably show up more on Taboogie. If I showed you like my main account. But yeah, I've played Hanzo quite a bit.
Okay.
He was my main for a while, or I was a flex DPS player for like a couple of years. So yeah, I have quite a bit of time on Hanzo.
So with Hanzo in like reaching higher ranks, like trying to get into top 500, sometimes I find it hard to get a lot of value for how punishable the character is. Like for example, if you're gonna play Hanzo like Doomfist and Sojourn, and
Yep.
say they're doing some sort of mirror with like Doomfist Genji, like when they look at the team and see Hanzo has just a leap for
Yep.
his escapability, they're gonna be focusing you
Yes.
more often,
Correct.
right? So how do you try to find value when being the like primary target so often? And is it valuable to just survive?
So
Like,
it really depends on how you want to approach this, because you could approach it and say to yourself, okay, if it's going to be more difficult to be on Hanzo, like it's going to be a handicap to be picking Hanzo because the team comp is against you, right? You're actively at a disadvantage by being on Hanzo. Then you could go the route where you just, okay, I'm gonna swap characters and pick a easier character that has a little bit, can tank a dive, like maybe you go like McCree or something like that. Whoever's meta at the time for tanking a dive, right? McCree, Torbjorn, Reaper, whatever character you want to. You pick another character that fits better against the comp they're running. Or if you are more specialized and you just really like playing Hanzo and you don't want to swap, which is also perfectly fine, then you just have to learn to overcome the handicap and the obstacles. And that's what people do all the time. That's how one tricks get to like top 50 and top 100 and stuff like that, right? People just learn to play their characters so good that they do it even against bad and hard team comps. So when you're up against those situations, I wouldn't say that it's value just to survive, because then that kind of relies on your team to do stuff, which you don't really want to ever like just rely on your team to win you games, because then you're kind of not going to go anywhere. But it will be value if you stay alive and start to get kills. So I would just be very extra careful in situations like that to play with your team. Maybe play at a really far distance or play in your health packs. Make sure you're making callouts and playing your supports and stuff like that. Lots of things that you could be doing against it, but just be playing extra careful and play to survive, but not just only to survive. That kind of makes sense.
yes.
Yes. All right. Well, let's do a quick wrap up then. We got like 2 minutes. I'll send you all the notes of this anyways at the end. Ability usage. Storm arrow. Maybe like pause if there's not immediately something to shoot at. Sonic. Sometimes we're not using it when we could. Use the scout at the very beginning of matches. Use it right before you dragon. Use it just off cooldown, pretty much. It's just lots of info to work with, easy kills. Besides that like overall, little bit of stuff to work on, like a medium priority for you to work on. Ult usage, that was one that we saw a lot of value that could be getting had that's not. Use it with Sonic. Make sure you have visibility before you're ulting. So like that just means either have seen them a second ago, so see them and then duck around the corner, or Sonic and then duck around the corner, or make sure you can hear them or where they're at from like some information. Dragon where they can't run away from it, so dragon down corridors. So if you can like stuff them in something like this where they just have no real way to get out of it, then you can make it very difficult for them to evade it, right? Because it kind of just gets them no matter where they're going here. So look for situations like that, stuff them up against walls and cart and choke points and corridors and stuff like that. And just try to get the angling. Overall, that one was like a medium, higher end of medium, something like that. Then mechanics, like, at a range, maybe sometimes watch aiming up a hair higher with your shots. Besides that, I don't know if there's too much else in mechanics. Mechanics overall pretty solid. So lower priority. Then finally, there was just positioning. Make sure to use cover, take high grounds, take other angles, rotate out quicker if they're jumping on top of you, things like that. Which overall down was probably like a medium to medium high. And then finally awareness. Awareness is pretty solid. Just keep your eyes and ears open. Watch what their team comp is, how that dictates your play style. That was a little bit on the lower side, maybe like a couple things here or there. And I'll give you more details on that in the notes. All right, any final questions?
No, thank you.